Sideline of goal! Lake Widow's doing it! They're gonna take! He's gonna bring down Burning! Alone with a double kill! Dropping fast! Final points there! He's still alive! Wait, second slide! He's got one side! He's got a second! He's taking it! Oh my god! On three! They're all dead!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Beyond the Summit. Or is it? Is this Beyond the Summit?
This looks ridiculous.
It looks like we coordinated this. Dude, this background is too dark. I just look like a floating head. We look like enigmas and some floating heads. My hair is like jet black.
How good is this T-shirt though? Like
This T-shirt's pretty
I
good.
got 3 or 4 T-shirts from TI. Like I got the Meepo one, I got a few others. And I've worn them since. I'm like, yeah, they're okay. Whenever I wear this Enigma, I'm like, this one's
Yeah, I
definitely
like
my
this one
favorite.
the best. I bought the tiny one, and I think I just got the regular Dota one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get too creative with my shirt. So we've got some fun stuff tonight. This is the first day of the Summit 2 by G2A.com SCA playoffs. So we've got 2 best of 3s tonight, and first one will be CsW versus Invasion, and second will be Malaysia the Malaysian team versus
First Departure.
First Departure. That's it. You remember. So best of 3, gods. This is when things get interesting.
Yeah, the best of one group stage was a bit of a crazy with SCA. The
Oh,
last
God.
2 days had 16 matches over 2 days. So like and we didn't cast them because it was overlapping with China. So we
Oh,
had
yeah.
one day we had Triumph of Man and the other day we had Helium. So like I finished the casting my last day of SCA. I'm like, there's still 16 games left. I don't even know what's going on.
Well, this was also
Anything
the
can
region where there was the 3-2-2 nonsense, so we had a
Yeah.
whole bunch of replacements, and it was a weird region
It's
all
been
around.
a zoo. That's
A zoo.
I'd
That's
say pretty accurate.
That's a good word. All right, let's look at this draft here and see what these teams have going on,
Reserve time.
and see what's going on in this series. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to take a look at the bets. I'm curious what the fans think. Who are the favorites here in this matchup? And wow, 71% for Invasion.
Yeah.
I would have expected them to be the favorites, but that seems pretty extreme.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it a bit before, and I think it's maybe more like 65-35 or 60-40, but CSW actually beat Invasion yesterday in a best of 1, which helped them qualify. I think they were going to be at least qualify or get into tiebreaks regardless, but they did win yesterday against this team. But for Invasion, that was a match which didn't hold as much weight, so they were
Dire
going to be
team
holding
ban.
back some strategies, not really given the match they were all because they were already in the playoffs.
Right. So it was a first pick Ogre from Can't Say Whips. Didn't it used to be Wisp, and now it's Whips?
I
Is that
don't
the joke?
Think so.
What is a whip? Is it an Australian thing?
I don't know. I think
No?
I had the same
10
discussion with
seconds
Dakota, and we
remaining.
were just like,
Can't
don't
say
really know.
whips, dude. It's just watch out for the whips.
5 seconds.
Well, they'll first
remaining.
pick Ogre, so they knew what they wanted. They get him straight away. Invasion. They take a Centaur Razor, and then the whips. They
Reserve
think about it for a
time.
moment and grab their Bat Rider. So it's been a slow draft out of the gate, but second pick Bat Rider. All right.
fun hero to see. Being picked
Radiant
over, I guess
team
the
ban.
main popular offlane is like the Tide Hunter, which we see a lot of as of late. They was getting picked up non-stop in the Chinese games I was casting yesterday and just winning like every single game it was in almost. But I like Bat Rider. He's a fun hero to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
10
All the first
seconds
bands making a
remaining.
lot of sense. DP Void taken out by CSW. And
5
Naga
seconds
Brewmaster
remaining.
by Invasion. The Brewmaster for sure, I guess. Not even the SCA teams
Dire
like
team
Naga these
ban.
days.
I mean, too many people have been versing Miracle, I guess.
Yeah, the resident sleeper. Well, I'm not complaining too much. I'm officially burned out of Naga, I have to say. There was a little while where people were saying that. I was like, nah, you know what? The big ultimates, there are still some big games. You know what?
Radiant team.
Done
You had
with
a
the
few
Naga.
more and it just tipped you over the edge.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing over and over. It feels disingenuous to hype it up because you know how it's going to end.
Radiant
She's
team
just going to slowly shove illusions into their base.
Dire
That's
team
it.
pick.
But here's a hero we haven't seen a lot of that I love,
Wow.
Shadow Demon.
Okay.
Nice. Great against the Bat Rider. Demonic Purge, slowing him down a little bit. Disruption also, beautiful in that scenario. But I also like the Shadow Demon Centaur duo. Once he gets a blank, makes for very easy setups. And even if Shadow Demon wants to roam over here, the whips, they'll grab Murata,
Radiant
maybe a little
team
denied
pick.
pick there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shadow Demon Mirana would have been a good support duo for Invasion. And the Shadow Demon Centaur you talked about is just scary powerful. Instead of the Mirana, they go Shadow Demon Dazzle,
Dire
which
team
you get the
pick.
heal bomb. You disrupt someone, the illusions pop up, and you can often get a full surround on them as well. And then you get the Shadow Wave coming out. It's a lot of burst damage, and I think CSW will be not too worried about that because, like, Batrider, if he's in the offlane against it, can just fall back to the jungle, so at least they have an offlaner who can jungle.
Yeah. Now, I'm wondering if Invasion may try an aggro tri-lane. The 3 heroes of Centaur, Shadow Demon, Dazzle is disgusting.
seconds
It's a little
remaining.
risky. You need to get a lot of kills with it, but it has a lot of killing power. Basically,
5
the combo you
seconds
talked about with the
remaining.
Hoof Stomp Double Edge mixed in there, just Shadow Demon starts it off, Dazzle heal bombs, and
Yep.
you're killing
Reserve
people.
time.
Yeah, and once Shadow Demon starts getting Soul Catcher as well, that burst damage with Hoof Stomp Double Edge is insane. So.
Yes.
Even without the heal bomb, I think the heal bomb's just like the icing on the cake right now, this combo. But
So I don't know. It's a little bit rare. You don't see it that
Radiant
often. It
team
does
ban.
make the Centaur a little bit under leveled, which can be a problem. But usually that means free farm for him if it works out well. So it could be a fast blink dagger. Can't say whips. They get the Ember Spirit. Perhaps Invasion thinking about the dire side doing an aggro
10
try with
seconds
Ogre Mirana.
remaining.
Certainly a possibility.
Yeah, definitely a
5
possibility.
seconds
It seems
remaining.
teams, often see drafts like, oh, they could go offensive trialing, but generally teams just haven't
Reserve
been.
time.
Like, it's such a high risk thing to do.
Yeah.
Because if your offensive trialing fails for whatever reason, or you somehow make a mistake and give up a kill or two, you often just lose the game off of it. So
True. Very true.
if you have a really advantageous 1v1 matchups, I think it's quite good to do, because then it's like, oh, our tri lane didn't actually do that good in the offensive lane, but we won our 1v1 matchups.
Yeah. Well, some more bans coming through. The Whips will ban out a whole bunch of supports with their 3rd and 4th. And, well, Invasion thinking about their 5th. What do the Whips need here? They'll need their 2nd support or their 1.
I want to say it's their carry. Mirana as a core just has not been working as of late.
I don't think it's that great either, but I've seen a lot of... I saw Loda do it not that long ago. I think I saw Envy do it not that long ago.
Okay.
It's still something that teams will pull out as... I think I saw Havos do it like 3 weeks, within the last 3 weeks or something.
Dire team ban.
It's not that common, but it is,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, still a thing. How do the SEA teams like Terrorblade? Is he much feared in this region, or?
There's a few teams who pick him. I've seen Invasion run him once or twice. CSW have
10
picked him, but
seconds
have done
remaining.
pretty badly with him when I've seen him. I've seen Godot
Okay.
play it once, and it was not
5
good. And
seconds
Godot's normally
remaining.
on the support role, but they kind of like switch up their roles, maybe
Yeah.
depending on their picks. Godot plays some of like their more micro heroes, like he plays Meepo when they
Radiant
pick it,
team
which they don't
pick.
really pick very often.
Whoa, here's a
Ah.
really interesting
Dire
pick.
team
The
pick.
Lone Druid.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking this Centaur tri-line, whether aggressive or defensive, could be a real possibility here.
Yeah. Or even just like the support's roaming around a lot, because Lone Druid doesn't need the support if he's farming the safe lane.
Yeah. This is interesting. Now Dazzle and Shadow Demon, 2 supports that somewhat greedy, and Shadow Demon not the best zoner. He ain't no Skywrath mage.
Yeah.
So you can run into a couple of issues with these heroes, but with
10
such strong
seconds
laners, I
remaining.
think they drafted around it quite nicely.
I even wonder if Invasion are planning to
5
put the Lone
seconds
Druid mid. I
remaining.
think he may be the
Mm.
better bet for that, as far as just getting
Reserve
better last
time.
hitting against the Ember Spirit in general.
Yeah.
Razor does decently
10
with the static
seconds
link, but I think
remaining.
Lone Druid will have a
Wind
better
Ranger
time
at
mid.
your
And
service.
also, Razor can benefit more from the support rotations, or at least being in like a tri lane.
True, yeah. It will be Ketchik to take the Razor. And I think Invasion, aren't they one of these teams that kind of, they rotate around their positions a little bit?
To some extent, FC's normally like the safe lane farmer and Ketchik on the mid.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the general plan there, but they rotate around a bit. Like FC here is on the Centaur, so I mean I think it's gonna be a safe lane farming Centaur
Yeah.
because of that, or at least maybe a offensive tri lane that you talked about. But like FC's not really the hard carry of this team, even though he's playing a farming Centaur.
Okay, and there's that Tootie Bat Rider. How could I forget about that? Tootie really likes the Bat Rider.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I've cast CSW, that's like one of their high priority picks. So seemed a little surprising to see it second picked, but now I'm remembering. I'm seeing those characters under that
seconds
Bat Rider
remaining.
smile, and it's all coming back to me. And Musika, he'll be taking the
5
Ember Spirit.
seconds remaining.
We were talking just before the game. I still think about that Carry Lush game I got to cast with Kadokai. That was just, oh. Musika is now,
You've got
He-
you
he
and
will live in my
Kodogai,
heart for a
have
long
both
time.
got the Musica.
yeah,
You
dude.
say
We
it
were,
like you know the pronunciation.
how do
I'm
you
laughing
say
at
it?
that?
Musica?
Musica, like
Musica.
yeah.
Okay. So
There
it's
is-
just music with an A.
Godot's-
Is that official or is that the?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
official. Godot sent me a little funny picture, like with
Musica.
a picture of Musica with a moose on his head because he found the pronunciation so funny. He's like, man, send this to Coddle guy. Like his pronunciation just made us all laugh. So
Okay, good to know. You've told him that, right? He's been passed the memo.
yeah.
Okay, good.
By all means, like you could keep calling him Musakai. They loved it. So.
All right. I'm glad we were able to butcher his name and still get a laugh out of it. That's
Yep.
always a fear. Oh God. Okay. Well, glad to see some kind words being exchanged back and forth here. Look at this. Come on. Good luck. Good luck. Jesus, dude. All right. Well,
Let's keep this PG, guys.
yeah. This is supposed to be a family event.
Yeah. That's the official admin response.
Yeah, Meatbro face. All right, we'll introduce some rosters here. Dire side, we've got CsW, Can't Say Whips. Tootie will be off lane on the Bat Rider. That puts KP mid here on the Wind Ranger. And they'll do a safe lane try. It'll be Musica on the Farming Ember Spirit. Risk will take the Ogre Magi, and Godot here. He'll be on the Support Marana. Nothing but consumables, and another good old-fashioned SEA pause here. What are we working with Radiant side, Parker?
Radiant side, we've got Ghost going to be on an off-lane Lone Druid. We're going to have ADTR, the captain, on the support Dazzle. Mid lane will be Ketchik Imba on the Razor. That puts OK onto the support Shadow Demon, and FCFZ on the farming Centaur. So possible dual lanes coming out. Dazzle, I mean, sitting behind a Lone Druid just kind of helps maybe keep him alive a bit, but I don't think Lone Druid needs too much as far as support. This may just be Dazzle scouting out the rune, doing some early warding.
Yeah. He changed back. Okay.
That's apparently the technical term.
All right. Well.
Have you missed SEA Dota?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of computers they have over there, but I feel like my computer's lacking some serious functionality.
Yeah. One of the extra features you get in SEA.
Well, yeah, ADTR, he's got a bunch of consumables, 2 observers, so I reckon maybe he's just going to give one to the Lone Druid. They've already given him one of the sentries. Maybe we'll do some warding. The nice thing is the Lone Druid can sit in the lane, and Dazzle can just interrupt the pull camps here and leech XP, try to snipe last hits, and kind of just be annoying. Slow them down a little bit and open up some efficiency down bottom lane. Give all the neutrals here to Mr. Shadow Demon if he can reconnect. Okay, actually went boots first, so he's looking to be a little aggressive.
Yeah. So I think having the support who's doing the zoning out, giving them boots, and having the other support buy like everything from wards, sentries to courier is actually pretty handy. Just to let Shadow Demon be a bit more pesky as far as and getting actual initiations off with a centaur, but it's so much easier zoning offlaners out with boots.
So where are the wards coming down for the Dire? Okay, they do have one down on the bottom here. So Bat Rider will have his time a little easier, at least has some vision. And Dazzle, as well as the Lone Druid, are the only one with sentries, so...
Yeah, we'll see what Ogre does. Ogre may be looking for a lane ward since they already have rune vision at bottom. And they're not too worried about like roaming support. Shadow Demon, Dazzle, like they have some roaming potential, but I don't see them getting like ganking mid too easily. So I think they may go for like some kind of lane ward at top, which is where the Sentry and the Lone Druid can actually maybe deward it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. A lot still to come here. Hopefully OK can get his computer taken care of. I know.
Well, it sounds like it is being well taken care of. Maybe a bit too well. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah, about that.
We don't see Lone Druid very much. The bear is a kind of forgotten pick, and normally when it's picked, like at least personally, I like to see it either mid or in the safe lane to get the guaranteed free farm. But we're going to see it in the offlane role, where you're going to struggle to get the farm. So a bear without much farm, I always find is just kind of like not a very effective offlaner compared to like a Tide, Centaur, Bat Rider. These initiators just need like these cheap items like Blink Daggers, and Lone Druid needs a lot more farm to actually have an impact in the game.
Yeah, well, luckily they do have the Centaur who, based on the lanes, will have a pretty fast Blink Dagger. He goes boots first, so they're looking to kill and find some, well, as close as they can to free farm for Mr. Centaur. So he'll create some space for the Lone Druid, and I think at the tail end of the laning phase or so, at least Lone Druid will have some space to farm in the lanes. You make a good point. I wonder what build he's going to go for. Radiance is good if you can do it, but I think it's considered the riskier of the LD builds.
The battle begins.
Like, not so much the off. Yeah, like you say, because it's risky and you need the farm to do it.
The prize is
in
mine.
the offlane, it's not that good. I don't think. I think maybe we see like a Midas Maelstrom, maybe just straight into the Maelstrom. The bear did get a small buff, 6.82. You can now have a mana pull on your Spirit Bear, which helps him out a bit. Except against anti-mage, that's not fun. But in all other cases, it helps out the Lone Druid.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. They fixed that little Midas bug as well, so you can actually use Midas on your bear and still get experience now, so that's solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, still a strong hero. I think the Maelstrom build is good for sieging towers also, which is why a lot of lone druids like it. Mid lane, KP could be in a little bit of trouble early on. Haste Rune picked up by the Shadow Demon, and won't find an opening, heads down bottom. So ADTR, what did he do? Looks like he gave some more wards to the Druid. Nope. Where did they come down? Okay, Observer on the high ground, gives some vision to the top, and puts a sentry in lane. Does he get a lane ward from the Ogre? No, he hasn't put it down yet. And with that, Dazzle just heads down bottom, and they will put a lot of resources into making sure this Bat Rider gets very little.
Yeah, you're having both supports down here. You want to make sure of that. But CSW, they're probably going to have one of these supports start once they deal with the bear and get some early pulls and are satisfied with zoning out the bear. That's when they start stacking up camps and giving Bat Rider that comeback mechanic. And Bat Rider already has the creep wave at his tower, so he's going to get at least level 2 and start getting towards level 3 even off of this.
Yeah, this is actually pretty good for Tootie. They didn't block the pull camp. Dazzle will not stack it, just pull right into it and does some nice deny work
as well. He only got 2 of the creeps, so that's another 2 CS, well, maybe not CS, but another 2 creep experience going Bat Rider's way.
Yep. Still haven't cut down that tree. They have, okay, 2 tangos on. Okay, maybe they'll cut one down so they can do the double pull. There you go. So pretty good for the Bat Rider. How's the off lane going for the Druid? Ghost, yeah, no
Similar
CS.
story,
So.
yeah. Yeah, with no CS, but maybe starting to get some experience with a creep wave coming as well.
Yeah. But as you said, the difference is that Tootie will have stacks that he can retreat to. Even if the supports don't stack up too much for him, he'll still have this open jungle. No one else really too interested in it. They'll have lanes to farm. Lone Druid, he can sort of clear out the jungle quickly, but not quite on par with that Bat Rider. Dazzle, staying aggressive on him. Tootie still not having an easy time. As Dazzle skills aggressively here, goes level 2, and no Shallow Grave. I think the right choice. Really low chance of this Centaur going down.
No one's really going to be ganking this bottom lane. I guess Ogre Mirana could go for a TP gank. They're actually going to kill this bear at top lane. This is a pretty big pickup. 300 gold for your Ogre.
Oh, that's on the Ogre? Oh, yeah, look at this guy.
That's better than, like, a kill, except First Blood is obviously better than that, but, like, getting a normal kill is, well, I guess about 300 gold. But that's a big chunk of change.
It's at least a hero kill's worth, for sure.
Yeah, and the experience is pretty good for that bear kill as well. So you can see Ogre already about to hit level 3. Mirana, same story. That is a huge loss. And that's the big reason why I think Lone Druid kind of sucks now, is because those bear kills,
Yeah.
Well, he really sucks on the offlane because that gave away so much golden experience.
Yeah, it gives away, as you said, decent chunk of experience, and the dire side will jump ahead in terms of XP. You can kind of see on the graph as the bear dies, this little like bump.
You can see the bear kill, like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So mid lane, how we looking here? Ember Spirit looks to be a pretty even farm fest for the most part. KP, oh wait, no, Ember's in the safe lane. Pardon me. It's the Wind Ranger here versus the Razor. So pretty even within a couple CS of each other.
Yeah.
All these lanes, pretty similar story. Both teams seem pretty comfortable just farming away. Bat Rider has now retreated to the jungle, so he will start stacking. Does have his level 3. So that was one of the changes to Bat Rider a couple of patches ago, where he used to be able to just jungle level 1 no problem, and now you need to at least sit in lane for those first couple of levels. So finding level 3 nice and easily does make his time perhaps slightly easier as he stacks up the hard camp.
Change the skill build a bit as well. Like, now you prioritize the Firefly over the Napalm, since the Firefly helps you jungle more than the Napalm does.
Yeah.
But doesn't, yeah, the big difference is often the mana cost. Like, Blink Dagger with more mana, his Firefly costs him more mana. He can't get that value point in Flame Break like he used to be able to do until much, much later on.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, 4 minutes. How are we looking on runes? So it looks like Wind Ranger was the one to bottle up the haste. So KP still having a good time. Centaur, he will have a fast blink, so that's great news for Invasion. They'll have this tempo controller that we talked about, and he's at about 1,100 gold, so this will be maybe even a like 8-minute blink or so. If Bat Rider messes up and gets hit by a disruption, could be even sooner.
Yeah, that's for Invasion, like when they're going to start making movement and start to find like some kills. Until then, they're happy just to play this slow-paced game, but once the Centaur blinks up, create some space so Lone Druid can go back and get some farm himself, and Centaur doesn't need to keep farming for sure once he has blink.
Yeah. And he's getting solo experience also, which is really good. He'll almost be level 5, and with Centaur, part of the struggle is finding that level 6, getting the Stampede, and not only to set up kills, but when the other team gets aggressive, can be a very useful mechanic to keep your allies safe. Lone Druid, though, still in Strug City, 3 and 2. He's only halfway through level 3, and like you were talking about, what do you do as the lone druid at this point when you get denied this hard? Where's your recovery? I mean, are you kind of forced into a recovery Midas at some point, or do you just go for whatever edge you can get with? Yeah, I mean, at this point, just getting boots is going to be a struggle. You know?
I think plan A is get boots, and I think plan B is get the Midas you talked about, because it's really catch up, because the levels as well as the farm from the Midas is needed. He should be trying to send his bear to try draw like creep waves to himself, but he's so scared his bear's going to die. Like if Ogre's there for a Fire Blast to set up a long 5-second arrow, the bear's probably going to die from almost full HP if it's a 5-second arrow from afar. And Mirana's is positioned really far away because she's doing the stacks.
Yeah.
It's so hard for the bear to do anything. He's using his Spirit Bear just to scout through the enemy jungle to get information.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That's pretty
Dire's
scared.
structures
Yeah, this
are
bear has been
fortified.
relegated to mobile ward. But at least things are going well down bottom. Hey, Invasion force out the glyph. They're chipping away at this tower. They've got a decent creep wave with a siege. And 2D almost got initiated on. OK was zoning him out pretty hard. But didn't seem like they were
Dire's
too interested in the
bottom
kill.
tower
Just
is
putting
under
some pressure on the
attack.
tower and trying to limit how much experience he gets. They'll be semi-successful. Almost finds his level 5 off this as the siege creep goes down. But FCFC halfway through his level 5 already. Mid lane. See a TP in from the Dazzle. Static Link on Godot, but we'll just leap back to safety and he'll be alright. KP does have a double damage rune on the Windrunner, but nothing will come out of it. Dazzle level 4 and prioritizing the Shadow Wave. No big surprise there.
The SEA pauses continue.
Yep, it's part of the experience, you know. It's not SEA Dota without pauses.
We've cracked down on the SEA scene. I'm proud to say. I remember
Yeah.
I remember talking to LD about the SEA, like casting SEA games. He's like, man, the games always start late. Like there's lots of points. I'm like, look, man, I've been in charge. I've been cracking down. Matches are starting on time. Teams are showing up knowing that they will be punished if they are late or whatever.
It seems like it's been a little better. I just have trouble. It's like the combination of language barrier, and it seems like there's just an expectation of if we're late, nothing's really going to happen. And
Yeah.
I get responses like, "Where's your team?" "Oh, they're all in the bathroom right now."
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Okay.
That happened with Execration. We're like, oh, we got a local tournament. We need to delay our match by 30 minutes. I'm just like, no, like this
What?
isn't happening. And they're like, what? They seemed like surprised, like they just couldn't postpone a match. And I'm just like, guys, like this is not how tournaments work, or at least not our tournament.
Dire's
We've got a
middle
schedule to
tower
keep
is
here,
under
folks.
attack.
We got to keep things going. Snap, snap. No, it's definitely been a bit better. But look at this. FCFC, he's going to have his Blink Dagger before he hits level 6. That's how well things are going for Big Brad down in the bottom lane. This is really not something you see every day.
And Godot's gone down here, and this is just because Batrider is going to farm a lot faster in the jungle, and Godot's thinking he can leech XP, but he needs to think twice because he probably doesn't know the Blink Dagger's up yet, but he's about to.
And here we
nice
go.
leap.
Ooh, still gets stunned, but
That's on Australia ping too, man. Hats off to Godot.
yeah,
That's a good play.
big plays. Mirana, one of the more difficult heroes to set up with the Shadow Demon Centaur. If you use the Disruption first, you can just kind of spam the leap, and Centaur has that small window to time it like perfectly, but it's not a big window.
That's kind of like what will happen is what happened there. The leap goes off, like the stun hits, but you still leap, and like, the Mirana ends up stunned after leap, but you still can't really get the kill, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes, but usually that's enough. So, Batrider, he's gotten decent experience. He'll soon be level 7, but his farm not too great. 900 gold at this rate. Looking at maybe 11 minutes for his Blink Dagger timing. Not so shabby. Invasion will put more pressure on this tier 1 tower, and they can't really
Dire's
contest it.
bottom tower
These three
is
heroes,
under
man, these are the
attack.
Bruise brothers.
You let this go down unless you want to bring in a lot of heroes, and they brought in KP, so max power shot. This could be the set they're looking for, as they're going for a deny, don't get it.
Dire's
Dazzle finds the
bottom
last hit,
tower
nicely
has
timed by
fallen.
ADTR. So even more gold going the way of Invasion, and it is actually CSW that have about 1,000 gold, 2,000 experience in their favor. I guess a lot of that out of the stacking they've done in the jungle and just the disparity in the offlaners in general. Even with that tower going down, Invasion still behind. Small gold disadvantage early on. Up top, Ghost gets initiated on, but there's your defensive Stampede.
That's
Dire's
okay. Like,
middle
CSW,
tower
that
is
means
under
they can
attack.
play a bit more aggressively just everywhere else on the map. Like this bottom Windrunner who's now showing up to just defend the pushes can be a lot less scared. So
Yeah, and it's a short cooldown as he levels up, but at level 1, was it 90 seconds? Yeah, a minute and a half.
pretty long.
That's it's a pretty good window where you know that you can man up on this lone druid if he steps too far forward, or
killing
maybe
the lone
just
druid,
jump on
just
the
like
Centaur.
zoning him
Dire's
out is
middle
enough here.
tower
Like
is
getting a
under
kill there,
attack.
like it would have been nice, but it's not like they missed out
Dire's
on a kill on like
structures
a
are
razor
fortified.
or a centaur because of it. That would have
Yeah.
been like, oh man, the bear is just like great. He's been already messed up in this off lane.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ketchik on the Razor will be going for what looks to be a mech. Has the headdress all ready to go with the Zakila and Power Tread. So I like this build. Razor just helping to buff up the team a little bit. Probably the best carrier for it. And we'll see the Ember Spirit now move into his drums, but here we go. Tootie, Bat Rider, arrow will hit the creep, almost grabs FCFC, but just barely off the mark. And Tootie won't be able to find the opening. No Blink Dagger, so no easy initiation. They do find the denial on the tier 1 tower mid. Nice shooting there from Godot.
Yeah, it's going to be a Midas coming out for the Wind Ranger. K Phoenix has his Midas up back at base, so looking to play a slow late game kind of style for CSW, it seems.
Well, with the Ember Spirit, they can certainly get away with it. Two pretty solid late game heroes. Music up top. Speak of the Devil goes on to Ghost, hits him with Searing Chains, gives him the bolas. He finds the kill this time. That's your 10-minute first blood. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been this long.
Second Stampede used and didn't actually save his life.
That really hurts. Yeah. So now CSW really in great shape.
Yeah, Musica gets really farmed off that. I mean, already phased drums, and now he can pick himself up the starts of a Battle Fury, so...
Yeah. This is also a best of 3, guys, worth mentioning, as I failed here and did not check best of 3. This is game 1, so there will be at least a little margin for error here for these sides. Get to bring it back into game 2, but yeah, my bad.
I mean, if you'd asked me for predictions about this series, like about who's going to win, I would be hard to say, but I definitely would have predicted some 50, 60, 70-minute games, because knowing how CSW play, they're often playing for like the ultra late game, and just they don't take too many chances even when they're ahead, and Invasion will also do similar things, I feel, so could be in for some long games. They're for better or for worse.
I was going to say they're usually not super passive, but 0-1, not really making a case. Up top, we'll see Ember Spirit just get demolished as the Centaur hops in. Easy 4-on-1, good smoke rotation, but Invasion, they're at least taking objectives here. And as you talked about, the Blink Dagger up on Centaur, that means it's hunting time.
Yeah. It took him 2 Stampedes and a, like, what, 4 or 5 minutes since he got his Blink to get his first kill, though. So I think from that point of view, CSW are going to be pretty happy with how they dealt with and countered the Blink Dagger. I guess instead of getting kills, they've been getting towers. And that's something CSW are like, we can't defend, you got a Central Blink, let's just give up these towers.
Yeah, and that's still pretty valuable. Ketchik having a pretty good time. They'll force out another Glyph, and this tower will go down. There's your 12-minute blink on the Bat Rider, so right on time, too. He's found some space in the bottom lane. Creeps have pushed up, so he can farm pretty safely. So it hasn't come totally for free for Invasion. Sure, they've gotten some good farm for themselves, but now Bat Rider has some way to help his team deal with these pushes, and I think Invasion will struggle here moving into the tier 2s, at least on their pushing front. But the mech on Ketchik will help balance things out. He is only about 40 gold away.
Yeah, I don't think... tier 1s all went down without much of a fight, and we'll have to see if it's going to be much different with the tier 2s, because the mech, they're going to stampede in top, and...
Musica, wow.
He got that amazing start, and then 2 quick deaths on him in quick succession, and suddenly that's kind of thrown away.
Shattering the glass cannon here. This guy, he even has drums, so he didn't go the super squishy build, but still just showing how easy it is to lock down an Ember and burst him if you have the damage.
CSW is smoked up by their tower, but somewhat revealed by the fact there's a firefly there.
Yeah. Not very sneaky. Invasion will be happy just to back out. Rendezvous with the courier. Ketchik gets his mech. Arcane Boots now up on the Shadow Demon. FCFC with 1,700 gold. We'll see what he moves into. And Dazzle, maybe an urn coming out on him. Possibly a medallion. Couple of options there. Lone Druid. He's been pretty quiet, but found some recovery farm. 1,400 gold. And, well, gosh darn it, gods. He might be looking towards a Radiance. Or that Recovery Midas. 1,500 gold. Yeah. He's pulling it up.
I think the Radiance will just be too late to really do too much this game. But yeah, I think the Midas is good.
The one thing it's good for is putting it on the bear and stopping the blink on the Bat Rider. If you can scat him out before a fight, that has some additional value in a game like this. So it is also a farming tool. You have to admit it will accelerate his farm. Maybe not quite as fast as a Midas, but I would say comparable.
It's like a not exactly full protect 1, but full create space for 1 right now with the Lone Druid just sitting in the jungle. Or I guess he'll maybe swing towards the bottom lane if he feels it's safe, while the rest of his team, they're going to be the ones, once again, pressuring top. CSW could take a 5v4 fight, but it wouldn't necessarily be a favorable 5v4. With a Centaur Blink and a Razor mech, it's a very hard fight for them to try and take.
Yeah, Bat Rider does not have a Force Staff, so anybody he lassos still needs to be kind of locked down and bursted rather quickly.
They could get the Force from a Wind Ranger, but that does require some coordination. Wind Ranger about 100
is under attack.
Yeah. And speak of the Devil, KP down bottom, Invisibility Rune online. Ghost is here. Centaur's hiding in the trees, but I think he'll reveal himself. And yeah, Wind Ranger will...
They're going to go for this kill because here comes Ember Spirit, and I think Centaur's going to get a great counter gank off.
Oh, they still haven't scattered out the Centaur. It's nighttime. They simply don't have the vision. Shackle out on Ghost.
Radiant's
TP
middle
in.
tower
Centaur
is under
stun on 2. There's your double edge. Stampede on top of them. They take down the Wind Ranger straight away. Ember Spirit, he'll hop to a Remnant who is way back in the lane, but still nice setup. And Invasion should be happy with that one.
Just good anticipation and reading what CSW were going to do. They knew Wind Ranger was bottom and just decided, hey, there's a good chance CSW bring backup, go for that kill.
Lasso on Shadow Demon up top. He gets stuck on the high ground, nowhere to go. Ticked down by the Firefly, and that'll make it 3-2 as CSW strike back with another kill. But bottom lane, this tower will start to take some pressure. Lone Druid moving out of the jungle. He is level 8, so the bear does do some decent damage to these
Dire's
towers.
bottom tower
Still
is
pulling
under
up his
attack.
gold. Has yet to buy anything.
Dire's
2,200
structures
gold, and
are fortified.
the more gold he pulls up, the more I'm thinking this could be Radiant's first item.
Yeah, I definitely suggest that. See if CSW try and make a defense here. They've got numbers coming this way. At least Power Shot and try and stall and delay it.
Yep, there is no more glyph available. Shackle comes out, connects on FC. Bat Rider does not have a lasso, down for another 45 seconds. So no easy initiation for CSW. The weave from the Dazzle is now expired. Was buffing him up quite a bit. The mech is on cooldown. Razor just popped it. And we'll find a regeneration rune to fill up in his bottle.
Dire's
But
bottom
that'll be the end of the
tower
push,
has
and the
been
tower will
denied.
end up getting denied by the Wind Ranger. So still a victory for Invasion, taking out some of those dire access points.
Yep. Unfortunately for them, missing out on some of this money, not the first tower getting denied, does hurt them. Because that's, if Lone Druid's going Radiance, you want it as early as possible, which is going to come a lot from this tower gold. But we'll see Invasion have really good map control. They're even getting some dewarding coming off here at the top river as he dodges an arrow, so...
Yeah, ADR was almost robbed by the test of time there. That ward was like seconds from expiring as he was getting uphill misses. I was thinking he might not get his 50 gold bounty for a successful counter. So not really a value sentry there, but still good, getting some vision control around the map. Lasso's up, and that means Bat Rider hungry for a kill. They're all grouped up, looking for an opening, but Invasion in a very defensive posture here in the mid lane. Dazzle did end up picking up an urn, so grabbing some extra sustainability for the team. And Centaur, he did end up going for a Force Staff, so his 2 mobility items are complete. Razor, either a BKB or an Ags next item. Pretty standard trajectories in terms of inventories on both sides of the coin. Musica looks like just a good old-fashioned cleave stick. The Battle Fury coming out for him next.
Yeah. No, and he's not looking as scary as he was much earlier in this game when he got that first blood and was, I think, top net worth for a while. And he's dropped down to number 4, so...
Yeah, totally dethroned by the Razor. Ketchik's had a pretty good time. Only 0-0 and 2, but just finding a lot of farm around the map. Glancing at last hits, he's got 95. About on point with the Ember Spirit. I guess the big difference is really those deaths.
Yeah.
Which were back-to-back, as we saw earlier.
Oh, Invasion right now, happy to kind of slow things down a bit. Like, they've got 2.5k on the Lone Druid, which isn't really added onto their net worth as far as if they took a fight right now. I think you wait for Razor to finish his item, be it the Ags or the BKB. And for CSW, it's kind of more up to them if they want to try to find pickoffs now, because once Invasion get these next couple core items, CSW won't want to do anything apart from defend the high ground. I think they'll be too scared to do much else.
Yeah. Feels like it. Invasion setting the tempo for this game as they're smoked up here in the mid lane. They put down a sentry ward, and I guess looking for a lane ward, maybe in anticipation of a potential Moonlight Shadow movement. If they want to pressure this tier 2 in the mid. Now there is a dire observer ward in the lane down a little bit further, and that will give some vision to the Razor. We can take a look at what the Dire can see right now. They've got a ward on the high ground here. They see ADTR, they see FCFC, and they should be able to defend this fairly easily. Bat Rider steps forward, playing with fire on that one.
Dire's
2D will
middle
blink back
tower
to
is
safety,
under
but that
attack.
Centaur, he was thinking about it. He was rearing up in anticipation.
They're going to try and slow the push with a tiny bit of fire, but this is not going to work as Invasion will just get free tower after free tower right now. So.
Radiant's
Ooh,
top
Centaur
tower
goes
is
right in
under
on
attack.
Tootie, chops him down. Double Edge does a lot of damage, a 2x from the Ogre. Not nearly enough to bring down the Centaur, and it's a quick pick on the Bat. And they get the tier 2 tower, so Invasion just kind of having their way with the Dire right now. KP up top throws out a power shot as Ghost TP's in, but will repel the Wind Ranger. Now 3,600 gold on the LD, so he'll have his Relic out in, well, within the next minute, so... Ended up being an okay timing, I think.
Yeah, it's not that bad. All this tower money and just not having died recently has helped him out. So getting like a 23-ish minute radiance will be pretty good.
Yeah, I think good given the circumstances. In general, this is obviously not the best timing, but... Yeah,
I think you nailed it. Like, one of the best things about this Radiance is going to be stopping the blink on the Batrider. You have that Radiance behind enemy lines, but the Radiance Bear is still going to be really squishy. If you're sending it, like, past, like, off on its own just to stop the Batrider blink, it could get lassoed, you could Fire Blast it, you arrow it, you shackle it. There's so much lockdown for the Bear. I think he has to play pretty defensively with how he positions it in pushes as well as team fights, because CSW will happily go for a Bear kill.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. We'll see Tootie maybe finding initiation here. Sees Ketchik down bottom. He grabs a bounty rune, but no, won't jump on him. CSW, they're just playing so reserved. I feel like this is one of the things about their team that is both really good for them and also one of their weaknesses, where if they're ahead, they play safe, they don't throw, but if they get behind, they play this kind of passive, well, we're not going to take any risks kind of a game, and sometimes you got to roll the dice when you're getting behind, and here they're just not doing anything to reclaim momentum. They will start to pressure this tier 1 tower down bottom, but even taking a team fight here, a little bit risky. Ember still no Battle Fury, they don't have a mech, so Invasion do have a couple things going their way.
Yeah, and they scatter the center and the Lone Druid, so I think they decide this is way too dangerous and risky. They backed off, don't even get caught by a Stampede. 4-star forward, they've got the Purge.
And can he get the disruption? Nope, not quite. Musica comes in. Now, finally, disruption goes off. FCFC on his way in, blinks forward. Hoof stomp, double edge. It's a dead Wind Ranger. They want more, they won't be able to find it, but still, CSW make any signs of aggression and Invasion right there. And Centaur just leading the way, 3-0-2. Nothing slowing him down. Now picks up a Ring of Health, and they're moving forward like they want to try for high ground.
Yeah, I think Centaur's going to be going for a pipe just for that high ground siege. Having pipe plus mech and like the Lone Druid with his Radiance completed, like that's going to be a really good 5-man death ball high ground sieging machine. And Korea's coming out, which is got... Okay, that's the Ag Scepter for the Razor. So this is all about the high ground siege. Even the Ag Scepter is going to help a lot with this high ground siege.
Okay, well, Tootie still has a lasso available. The Fire, now tickling the Bear. The Lone Druid should have another summon. Yeah, definitely does. And there you go. Eye of the Storm now going to hit towers. And how will Invasion want to handle themselves here? Wind Ranger will respawn, and I reckon they won't want to press their luck just straight 5v5 into the tower. But, okay, they'll prove me wrong here. They're feeling very brave. They've got a lead, but not that big. Some ding-dings come out as some ignites get tossed forward.
This Bear got resummoned. He should be very careful with it up front.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a second one. He gets arrowed too.
Oh, this could be bad. Ketchik, now he gets lassoed, but Centaur comes in. The defensive disruption comes out. They want the Bear. Marana chucking in the arrows. It'll be the end of the Bears. Ember Spirit finishes him off. He's down for about 90 seconds. Ketchik gets Graves. Stampede comes out. And he'll be A-OK. Invasion having a lot of trouble breaking the high ground here. Arrow will get intercepted by a creep. They will make it out with all 5 still alive. Just a Lone Druid Bear that's dead, but that's a pretty penny. That's pretty solid.
It didn't actually get last hit. It went to the tower, so it was just the... I don't even think anyone was in XP range. So CSW effectively get nothing out of the fight and almost lose their tier 3 tower. So still pretty good for Invasion.
Okay.
Considering Invasion, I guess they did have the Ag Scepter, it just brought to them then, but they're still working on what I imagine is a pipe on the Centaur. They can still get a bit stronger and scarier before the next high ground siege.
Definitely. And now the Shadow Demon, he's looking towards a blink. He's only 300 gold away, taking out a stack, and OK will be a very powerful initiator, and that means Centaur can sit back a little bit, follow up if someone gets caught by the lasso, be there ready to intercept it and jump on the bat. CSW will come back for what they started with originally. It's this tier 1 tower bottom. They'll find it. Invasion don't even bother to use their free glyph. They'll just let it go down. And well, 23 minutes into a game, you kind of expect your tier 1 towers to fall. So
yeah. For CSW, they just got they partly held the high ground because Musica finishes Battle Fury, and those they got the two tier 1 towers at middle lane and top lane right before the push on the high ground, which gave him the money he needed. So. This little bit of money really helps out CSW. Even though they're still in a tough spot, it got them the Battle Fury. It's going to get them the 4-stuff on 2D. These items they desperately need to defend high ground.
Yeah, Godot ended up going back for a Midas on this position for Marana. Hasn't really paid off yet. Yeah,
no.
It's
eventually
okay.
It could. There's no item you can get for 2,000 gold as a Marana that's going to help you defend high ground or fight. Maybe you get a drums, but
yeah,
it's such a dead end. It's not a farming tool.
I think another 4-staff could be okay if you're in the 4, but they already have 2, so I don't know. I think the Midas is okay here. It'll be nice to have a secondary carry, but the Wind Ranger is the one that's just not that scary yet. Has a Midas, 4-staff Maelstrom. It's just kind of a lackluster arsenal. I don't know.
I mean, the damage and at least there's some good push potential with the Maelstrom helping out to clear out creep waves, but Yeah, it's not the scariest Wind Ranger just yet.
Yeah.
Could become that. I'm curious to see what KP goes for next, if he goes for that Aghanim Scepter, or if he just goes for maybe another mobility item, get something like a Blink Dagger, which helps set up those 2-hero shackles. If he's feeling like they're about to lose the game and get sieged on the high ground, he'll probably pick up a Blink. If he feels like he can safely farm up something big, he might go Ag Scepter.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see how the tempo of the game continues. Invasion staying aggressive as FCFC now picks up a Vanguard, so no pipe. Looks like the Crimson Guard. Yeah. Interesting game for it. I really think it's best when there are summons on the field, you know, against like a Visage, even like a Lone Druid, Nature's Prophet, anyone that just makes more units for more instances of damage, but not even Necronomicon.
It's good against the Sleight of Fist. The Sleight of Fist, which hits everything, like it just blocks a lot of that damage.
That's a good point.
I imagine it would then affect how much damage is being cleaved, so I think it's just like a kind of help push high ground against Battle Fury Ember Spirit idea.
Yeah, they will take out the last remaining outer tower, which is the tier 2 up top. Razor now looking for his BKB, and of course the Radiance was picked up on the Bear, so the Lone Druid feeling at least a little bit more useful now. Still level 11, and doesn't have any other items to his name since the Radiance was picked up, just a couple of brown boots and his Orb of Venom there.
Music up to 2k. We'll see if he goes for the second Battle Fury, if he decides Crit's the way to go. Against the high ground, against the constant siege, maybe even goes for the second Battle Fury this game.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Second Battle Fury crit.
If you know your opponents are grouping up as 5 more, the second Battle Fury is a bit better, but as far as like just general single target damage, the Daedalus will hold more.
Well, Invasion, they've stayed pretty aggressive. They don't have a medallion, but they could still take a pretty quick Roche if they were so inclined. Perhaps a bit risky, but would help their high ground sieging. They do ping out the bottom tier 3 tower. Dazzle's calling the shots. And this Dazzle he's ready to fight.
Dazzle! KP's just going to push out top and get as much farm as he can before the fight begins. At this point, CSW need to make sure they have buyback on a core hero too, because KP may have to die to save the base here, and I think even Ember Spirit should have buyback. Yeah, both those two heroes have buyback.
Yep, here we go. Initiation right on the Ketchik. Tootie grabs him with a lasso. Double Force Staff. Grave comes out on the Ketchik, though. And now the rest of them follow up. Stampede was already used. Invasion doing okay, but the Flame Break knocks back the Shadow Demon. That'll be enough to find the kill there. Musica comes out of the base, finds the kill on Ketchik. Now it's CSW that are coming out way ahead. They've got the damage to wipe them up. And Invasion, they trade a 1 for 5. Great initiation from the Bat Rider. And for a moment there, it looked like Invasion were going to be able to get out and keep that Razor alive, but that Flame Break just totally broke it up.
The Shadow Demon goofed up hard. He must have double tapped his disruption because he self-disrupted. He meant to disrupt the lassoed Razor.
Boy.
And he just I'm watching him at the back of the fight. He just disrupts himself for no reason at all when he wasn't even being focused, and it was entirely meant to be used on either the Bat Rider or the lassoed Razor. And sure, the Razor stayed alive. Like, he got graved and was still in half HP, but it forced a fight in a position where Invasion couldn't really take one. They had to use all their initiations, their blinks, their force stuff just to get in there, and then they couldn't really kite CSW around.
And now CSW, they'll take a small gold lead, but a huge experience edge following that fight. They move right into the Roche pit. Slowly but surely, they will be able to bring it down. It looks like Musica will be the one to grab the Aegis, makes an inventory slot for it, and yeah, there you go, picks it up. So, CSW getting a lot out of that one, gods.
Their core's suddenly really fun. 3.5k on KP. Musica, similar story. He's going to sell his stick and buy one of those 2 big items we talked about, and it's going to be very, very tricky for Invasion to push high ground now as these 2 heroes get very tough.
Yeah, and Ember Spirit, one of the best carries in terms of how well he scales when he gets big items. And if he gets a second Battle Fury and then moves into a crit, and even after that goes towards a BKB or just even more damage, it's pretty startling.
We're looking at, it's going to go for the crit, so no second Battle Fury, but
all right.
Either way, it's
still good.
Fine.
Yeah.
And Godot's going to be working. He's almost going to Maelstrom, so this is where the Mirana can start getting some actual damage items up to go with the rest of the team as a 4-position hero. So I think this is going to work out just fine. And CSW have 3 damage-dealing cores with a Bat Rider to initiate, and Ogre Magi is a high damage-dealing support. Their burst damage in these fights is pretty potent. Considering no one has BKB to deal with the Ogre's damage, and it's a level 2 multicast now, Invasion, their push struggles. Ignite alone is just so annoying to deal with when pushing.
Yeah. And against the double Midas, around that 30-minute mark is when you would expect those Midases to really kick in, buff up those carries quite a bit. And it's not much of a surprise that now Invasion are starting to struggle a bit. They needed to just do more crippling damage earlier on. They almost got that bottom lane of barracks. They killed the tier 3 tower, but simply put, they just needed more than that. So now CSW, they'll slow things down a little bit, farm up their next round of core items, and look to find the next opening for a proper engagement. Batrider will find a Gem of True Sight following that last fight. So maybe they'll get a little bit of map control back. Dire Vision, only a couple of wards down, one way off from enemy territory. And Radiant, they've got some wards their own down that Batrider will probably eventually stumble upon.
CSW just playing this game really smart. Like they just focused on defending the high ground, gave up all the towers that they couldn't defend without. If they tried to defend those, they just lose this game faster because they give up kills as well as the towers. And they sit back now. Once they have a decent control and win a high ground fight, they get the gem. They're going to look to get some map control, pick up some big items to go with this, and they can just their split push is a lot scarier now because Invasion have to 5-man when they go for their push, and that's where Wind Ranger, Ember Spirit are keeping these side lanes pushed out pretty well.
Yeah. And even with all that 5-man pushing, we're going to have double Maelstrom now on the Mirana and the Wind Rangers. That's just a lot of creep clear, a lot of AoE damage they can put out on top of that Ember Spirit. We'll see a smoke rotation, though, as CSW move towards that bottom rune down bottom.
I think Ghost thinks he's safe as well. They know he's here too. His bear's attacking, which means the actual hero is nearby. But
And Ghost will back up. They don't take the haste rune. There is a Radiant Observer ward down, but they're still smoked. Didn't catch wind of anything.
at this point, no one's pushing out top. Even like an Ember Spirit with Sleight of Fist should be up there. So I think they have a pretty good idea that CSW up to something fishy. They could just kill the Spirit Bear, which for a smoke gank isn't the worst. They're gonna go for the Spirit Bear.
There you go. 2D lassos it. They need to hit it with an arrow, though, and I think the bear's just going to get away. That's just a waste of a lasso.
Risk, I think, just had some pathing problems there. The trees weren't all cut down, so he couldn't get in range for the Fire Blast.
No, that's a little unfortunate. But pretty short cooldown at this point. Batrider is level 12, so 75 seconds. It'll be right back up.
Not too big a deal. I mean, they
Although-
would have liked that to work, but
Invasion might use this window just to go straight for the base. They're grouped up, and they're charging forward.
and because the bear didn't die, and Ghost actually has 2 bears for this fight, which means he can use that first one just to kind of siege the tower to some extent without it worrying too much if it dies. Arrow hits FC in mid.
37 seconds on the lasso from Batrider. Now Moonlight Shadow comes out. Okay, takes a lot of damage. Will get off the disruption. FC uses the Stampede. He makes it out. Okay, caught in the Searing Chains and brought down by the Ember Spirit. Mirana gets credit for the kill, and well, looks like that'll be the end of the Invasion parade towards the CSW base.
Good start by Godot hits the arrow, and then sure, Shadow Demon saves the Centaur, force-staffing him to the high ground, but then Shadow Demon doesn't have the force-staff for himself, and Invasion are just kind of in an awkward position. So
Yeah, now CSW, they'll actually look to get a bit more aggressive here. They'll push up the mid lane, maybe grab a tier 2 tower off that successful kill. I think they're finally feeling their advantage and perhaps just looking to put some pressure on these structures. KP has an ultimate orb picked up. I imagine a scythe on him.
and he's almost got the money for it.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. Oh, looking for the shackle. Almost finds it. Throws it out on the range creep, but can't quite get in position.
Okay.
Batrider, he's on the high ground here. Firefly up, lasso at the ready,
Radiant's
looking for the
middle
opening.
tower is
Full
under
Daedalus
attack.
on the Ember Spirit. But it is the Druid who is split pushing the side lane. They'll have to be careful about how they approach this and be ready to
Radiant
TP back when that
structures
Druid
are
makes it to the base
fortified.
if he does.
Probably just a
Radiant's
T2 and back,
middle
or even
tower
just
is under
straight up
attack.
back and farm. Like, they're farming the enemy Ancients, they're de-warding near the enemy Ancients, and just denying a lot of this map vision from Invasion. And then, hey, bottom lane, they're going to defend. They're not too worried about that. Invasion know they're going to have to TP back bottom, so they try find a pick off on some stragglers, but they're not even going to get that.
So many force stabs. That Centaur was double force stabbed, and then CSW used both of theirs and a Stampede to make sure they got away. It was just
It's one of those
scooting
kind of
all
like
over.
bread and butter strategies. Like you see your enemy pushing down the mid lane, you split push a side lane, and then when they TP back to defend it, you try and jump after like 2 or 3 have TP'd. But CSW, they know it. They back off together and at the right time, and just effectively enough such that Invasion can't find a pick off.
Yep. Well, game 1, 32 minutes in, still not much of a bloodbath. 6 to 8.
Jeez.
Whew.
All 6 of those involving the Centaur.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much all 6 of them being his blink stuns. Like, I don't think there's been kills which weren't blink stuns from FZ.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. That's been their strategy this game. CSW, sort of a similar state, but with the Batrider, he's been involved in 7 of the 8. So, both teams, all about those offlane initiators, I guess.
Ember's been in 7 of the 8 as well, so he's done well.
Yeah, no, Music has found a lot of farm this game. Still number 1 on net worth, only 500 up on the Razor, but still in a pretty good place overall. And Drum's giving him a little bit of extra survivability here. No more Aegis, and still a little while before Roche comes back up.
So, looks like we're headed late game, which, I mean, we kind of, I guess, assumed from this. Well, Invasion were looking to maybe try and break Iraq's pretty early, but CSW were planning to go late game from the start with their double minuses. And do you feel Invasion's late game is good enough with their lineup?
I don't know. I think it depends on how much space this Druid gets, because we talked about how risky the Radiance is, and they did a good job keeping him down early on, but he's recovered pretty well. Just look at the net worth. I mean, he's number 4. He's up there ahead of the Centaur. We'll hold that thought, though, as they smoke. Find Godot. He leaps forward right into the arms of the Centaur. Big Brad says, hello. Well, thanks for the money, and they will pawn that head Mirana.
Lone Druid farming, well, like, there's 3 farmed up cores on Invasion with Razor as well. Centaur's not really gone for, like, late game core items, though, with the Crimson Guard.
Yeah.
Like, if he goes for, like, a harder Tarask and these other, like, Shiver's Guard, he's much more of a late game threat, but he's still farming well. Could go backwards. I think the one scary thing for Invasion is the Spirit Bear is going to get pretty squishy. Like, even a farm Lone Druid, there's so much chain stun that they can just kill this Spirit Bear really fast. I think he's going to have to get a BKB at some point if this goes really late on this bear.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I don't know, I think Ember is like the hardest single carry in this game, but the combination of the Dazzle Weave with how scary Razor gets, there's this sort of weird misconception that Razor is not an ultra hard carry when you get towards the late game, but when he's 6-slotted, that is not a hero you want to mess around with.
Yeah.
Especially if you have Dazzle there to back him up with Graves, and you've got Weaves on top of it. I think him and then the team built around him will be difficult for CSW to deal with. Possible, but I think Invasion are there in the late game, especially given the recovery this Druid's found. I mean, that's a full Assault Cross up on the bear now after the Radiance.
Yeah. It feels like CSW are still not that confident, and they want to just sit on the high ground. Hope Invasion go for another push where they can wipe them, but
yeah,
Invasion not going to make that mistake. And you can see even like KP, he's not buying his Scythe of Vice because he wants to have buyback money. He knows if either him or Batrider or one of these big core heroes dies without buyback, it's potentially game losing. Invasion are very intent on breaking Iraqs, as they've shown, but CSW not allowing to put themselves in a position to do it. And I don't think this Hex is really that big of an item pickup. Like, I think it's a fine item choice, but it's not going to be the difference between winning or losing a team fight. So holding on to buyback is actually more important than getting this Hex right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they lose one lane of Rax, this game gets a lot more difficult. Second Roche be up in about 50 seconds, so perhaps that'll stimulate a little bit of action here in this game. But, yeah, both sides seem pretty comfortable just farming up right now and looking towards their next core pieces. The bear getting chopped a little bit by the Ember Spirit. That extra armor, I guess, helping him out. Musica still hits pretty damn hard. And he's up to 2,800 gold as, wow, CSW. They'll be the aggressors here, coming into the tier 2 tower in the top lane. Moonlight Shadow to get it started. Tootie off in the tree line, looking for the bear. Blinks over, can't find the opening. And
hit the
be
blink
the end
in
of it for now.
blind, so he knows there's heroes behind the tower, he just doesn't know exactly where, so...
Yeah.
Nice attempt. If he gets the blink right on top of either Lone Druid or Centaur, he maybe goes for the lasso and then force stuff back.
Wow. CSW really book it out of there.
Once the Firefly gank fails, like, Invasion know exactly what's up, so once your opponents get the information that you're up there as 5 heroes, they're going to respond to that. So I think it's probably the right call to back off. I mean, it's a very defensive call, which is kind of CSW's playstyle.
Yeah. Well, Blueberry on the Razor, so he's got some double damage.
Okay, not bottled up.
No.
It's going to expire.
Yeah.
Gotta go for that Eternal Envy, like, 50-minute bottle, just so you can save a DD rune for a team fight.
Hey, the rune of many wins. Sometimes it lives up to its name.
I'm all about that when I play Tiny. If I play Tiny, it's like 60 minutes in the game and I find a DD room, I'm like, let's bring myself a bottle. Because your base damage is so ridiculous, a DD on Tiny is insane.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I have seen that rune win games with Tiny. It's pretty disgusting. Oh, this is a big rotation. Smoke coming out from CSW. They see their opponents in enemy territory. ADTR, he gets caught by the lasso, pulled into the enemy's catch again, but he just gets blown up by the Ogre. ADTR does manage to get off a grave, buys himself some time, but to what avail? His teammates can't get in. He ends up going down. Now they find Ghost. The follow-up is here. Musica coming in, connects with the chains. It'll be a fast set of kills. 3-0 as CSW, clean house. And that'll open up for an easy Roche.
Yeah, and they can defend bottom as well as take Roshan. Batrider going to move forward. Actually, maybe. Oh, he cancels the TP! FZ. He full stuffs himself so he can actually get himself unstuck, whereas 2D was stuck there.
Now Ember Spirit.
I don't know if they saw they canceled the TP.
Dire's
Oh,
bottom
that's Sleight of
barracks are
Fist. They're going to
under
find him.
Yeah, I think this
It's all over
Centaur
for him.
is... He's in a sad place. Music is going to hit him with some chains. And
Nice little stop dodge.
Oh, that was really nice, actually. Still not going to live. They get the kill on Centaur. Makes it a 4-0. And now they will still be able to get Roche. Risk actually getting pounded down, but Music is coming back in.
Dire's bottom
Yeah, that'll be another
barracks are
8. So
under
Ember
attack.
Spirit, 5,000 gold up on him now. And what was pretty decently, but not insurmountable for CSW, is now getting pretty scary. 7,500 gold, about 14,000 experience. Scythe of Vice up on the Wind Ranger, and we're starting to see some serious item progression. Even this Ogre who's on the 5, 2,500 gold, that's half an Aghanims.
I mean, Godot's working on a Manta style now. Like, everyone's got just buttloads of money. And look at these Radiant supports. It's a 3.4k net worth Dazzle, 5.2 on the Shadow Demon, which I guess matches the Ogre, but CSW have 4 cores.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a bit of a problem for Invasion the longer this game goes, and we're already seeing that.
That's the power of the Hands of Midas. I mean, 40 minutes in, they're both picked up reasonably early on, and even a Battle Fear on the Ember Spirit, that's a pretty significant farming tool. They should be far ahead right now just from farming, and not only the skirmishes, but getting both Roches. Starting to feel pretty solid for the Dire side. I'm curious what Ember moves into next.
Scotty.
Does he? Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. All right,
Not
I
bad
like
choice.
Scotty on Ember. Yeah, helps him tank up. I like it as an alternative to BKB.
Yeah.
It gives you a similar sort of, you're a little beefier, kind of tanking up a bit, but just gives you so much more utility.
The slows are really nice in fights, and slows attack speed as well as movement speed.
good on the
against
bear,
BKBs. Yeah. I think it's a good item choice. It was either this or you go like Glass Cannon. And I think Music was like, I don't really want to be a Glass Cannon. If you're playing Glass Cannon, you have to have buyback, and with the Scotty, he can maybe be a bit more offensive.
Yeah, agreed. The Mirana is really the standout here, though.
Yeah, Godot's played really
We
well.
talked about the risk. It's all about the trade-offs. But yeah, 3, 1, and 4 on this Mirana, and now with the Manta, you should be a little scared of this Mirana. She's going to be sticking arrows in your back, and if you're not careful, that damage will certainly add up. I think Centaur looking at his Shivas with his plate mail.
Yeah. And he's, at this point, like, Crimson Guard's one of those items, like, I'm still not sold on it. It's kind of like Pipe, but I think even, like, more risky. It's like, it falls off pretty hard in the late game, and it really is all about this, like, 5-man push, get Raxes when you have it. And I think it's kind of like
Yeah.
the reason you don't see Crimson Guard and Pipe is about the same, because late game it's like, it's a really expensive item. Mech is fine, like, fine to get because it's so much cheaper than Pipe and Crimson Guard, but you get to 45 minutes in the game and suddenly you're like, I just spent 3.5k gold on this item, which doesn't really help me anymore.
Yeah, I think that's particularly true for the Crimson Guard, just because it blocks a static amount of damage. So as the game goes on and everybody does more damage, just the effect you notice less and less. It's still true for the Pipe, but at least it absorbs big amounts of damage. So it's effective against everything, whether it's little ticks of magic damage or just, you get hit with a finger of death. It
Radiant's
still
bottom tower
makes it
is
hurt a
under
lot
attack.
less. The Crimson Guard, it just doesn't have that same beautiful effect of absorbing straight up damage. And I don't know, I mean, in terms of pushing the Pipe, I think you'd see a little more.
Pipe's big problem is that it's like a team thing, whereas like people just counter Pipe by using firstly down one target. So even if that one target's Pipe, you just like throw a few more spells at him to kill him while ignoring the rest of the heroes. But
That's true.
there's definitely some games where it's like you're against a Sand King, it's like, yeah, come on, guys, get Pipe.
Yeah. Right against the Chain Frost, Venomancer,
Yep.
Sand King, those are all prime Pipe games. Be okay
I know
against
you
no
and
shaker.
Ben are like, man,
We're on the
more
Pipe
teams
Pipe
need to buy
train.
Pipe.
Yeah.
I'm a bit anti-Pipe, but I don't know.
Anti-Pipe.
I've seen game losing Pipes before, like where Enigmas will go like mech Pipe just for like 5-man push, and then the 5-man push fails, and then it's like, oh, now Enigma doesn't have money for a BKB or Blink Dagger, and they lose
Yeah.
fights because Enigma doesn't have BKB.
Well, I wouldn't really coin Enigma as a great Pipe carrier.
No.
I think if
Sometimes
it's
like a
if
who
it's a
else can
game
carry
where it's like an amazing Pipe game, you're trying to hit a timing, then maybe Enigma could farm it up. But
Yeah.
the other problem with Pipe, it doesn't give you any stats either. So a lot of heroes that are pretty good at carrying it, they can't really get a first item, like Necrolite, for example. You can't really go first item Pipe because they don't have any stats. And if you get it second, third item, sometimes you miss that window where it's even really worth it. So I can see it from that perspective. But, oh, that's a big
Razor.
pig!
I feels ready for that.
Yeah, this pig is going to get chopped down, but Arrow hits Ketchik. Now the Ember Spirit comes back in. Defensive disruption. Okay, will survive. And CSW so defensive.
They only had 3 heroes. I was just about to say the same thing. I'm like, they just hit a 5-second arrow. Why are they backing off? But
Yeah,
KP
they're
was
spread
back
out.
mid. They didn't have Batrider. If they had Batrider there, even without the Wind Ranger, I think they go and engage with a lasso. But because they had no Batrider, they back off, which I guess is fine. But I don't know why Batrider wasn't there if they were trying to push a tier 2.
Yeah.
I guess bottom lane does need defending.
Yeah, very true. That a tier 3 tower. Ooh, Razor, he does have that Scythe of Vice. Another arrow connects. Now, Grave, triple cast from the Ogre. FCFC uses the Stampede, but they're going right back in. Okay, takes a lot of damage. They get the kill on Razor as well as the Shadow Demon. Musica showing off his power right now. Shackle onto FCFC. It's a fast 4-0. The only one to live is the Bear, because hell, he wasn't even there. And yeah, now things feeling pretty grim for Invasion, seeing these back-to-back failed team fights, Gods.
Yeah, that one almost looks like it's just the game right there. We'll have to see if they go for a high ground push. It's going to be at least a couple tier 2 towers, maybe. Batrider's, he's fishing for this Bear.
Radiant's top tower
They have a lot
is
of
under
Vlads
attack.
too, going for these value items, but I feel like he really needs that BKB on his Spirit Bear, and he's still
Radiant
being chased.
structures are
Oh, Batrider
fortified.
finally gives up.
Yeah, he'll just head back mid. No lane control mid, so they won't get this tier 2 tower. The Spirit Bear being very annoying with that Radiance, but here they get the tier 2 in the top lane. They
Radiant's
will
top
press
tower
forward into
has
the high
fallen.
ground. Buyback situation.
Dire's middle tower
Not
is under
great
attack.
for Invasion, but
Radiant's
they've already
top
used their
tower
glyphs,
is
and this
under
tower will
attack.
go down quickly. A couple heroes respawning pretty soon. Maybe they can still save the barracks. They do
Radiant's
have
top
3
tower
alive.
has
Razor
fallen.
and Centaur, the 2 that are down.
Radiant's
The
top barracks are
Stampede's
under
up in
attack.
5 seconds, but
Radiant's
melee
top
barracks fall.
has fallen.
And
They don't even risk it
CSW.
for the range. That's
These guys.
That's CSW Dota right there.
So much control.
I know. They are such a disciplined team, man. I mean, like you say, sometimes it bites them in the ass, though. And I think even when they're ahead, sometimes they play so too defensively that they give openings for their opponents to get back in the game. But
That's a real thing, man.
Take us.
It's a real problem. Sometimes you got to just push that advantage and close it out before the
they
The
are going
carries
back
can
in
recover.
at top, looking for a kill, but no one's pushing out this lane on the Invasion side.
Yeah, maybe they'll find somebody on the wraparound though. Go dot. Well,
Invasion
Just
is
have bloodlust.
smoked. They're looking for kills, and I don't think they expected the kills to be back at top lane after CSW already got racks.
yeah. Interesting positioning, but Razor in the front, and there's your Stampede forward. They'll find the Mirana as well as the Wind Ranger. That's the target they'll go for. FCFC connects with the Hoof Stomp. Now the follow-up's there with Flame Break. Helps break it up a little bit. Poison on the KP, and yeah, nowhere to go. They find the kill on the Wind Ranger, and Invasion answering back. Tootie TP's into the trees, or blinks into the trees, TP's home, and
Godot's back pushing. He's like, guys,
yeah.
you guys better defend. This range Rex will go down, and range Rex is it's definitely nowhere near anywhere on the level of the melee Rex, but it's still worth defending.
it still forces them to waste a few more TPs, getting some value out of that, and it's a good movement from Invasion, but a kill on the Wind Ranger is, yeah, sure, that's cool. Not really going to quite get them back into this game, and they are still in big trouble.
Yeah, and everyone on CSW always having buyback if you're a core hero and just playing things by the book right now. So, as things stand, this is looking really bad for Invasion. Godot's starting to work on a crit himself. He's got a Crystallis and could buy Daedalus soon, depending if he wants to save the buyback money or not.
Yeah, the lead now really large, about 25,000 gold, 25,000 experience for CSW. Surprisingly large at this point. Razor's farm falling off just a little bit, and the Lone Druid is now taken over as the top farmer for the Radiant side. You mentioned the Vlads, now has a gem and another 2,000 gold to boot, and a Maelstrom on the Spirit Bear. So he still has some items, not bad farm.
The Vlads, I guess no one else could really afford a Vlad. Their two supports are too underfarmed, and he's like, well, it's worth having a Vlads on this team. But
Yeah, it's very good against the Ember.
Invasion just haven't been able to take a head-on fight in ages, and I don't think they can win a head-on fight necessarily, but it just feels like since that one 5-man push bottom lane failed where they got team wiped for 1 kill, they've done very little. They've tried to just farm a bit, but CSW are farming more, they're pushing, they're winning fights, and CSW have everything going their way.
Radiant's
Absolutely.
bottom tower is
Invasion
under
now
attack.
grouped up as 4, pushing the top lane, and they'll find all 5 of their heroes as OK joins the party. And we'll see what they'll do here. No outer towers, so it's just high ground in this lane.
Radiant's bottom
Roche
tower has fallen.
not up quite yet, but we'll be up pretty soon. Close that 50-minute mark, and this feels like an interesting play from Invasion. They know Roche is coming up soon.
The TP Razor bottom,
And
so they're not pushing anymore.
Radiant's
Okay.
bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, they probably need to contest Roshan, but
Not
they
going to
don't
be
really
easy.
know the respawn time. And you're against a Batrider. Batrider, one of the best heroes for fights around the Roshan. Imagine 2D will be picking up a BKB next, which he can buy now if he wants to. Again, buybacks obviously. You want to make sure you have at least 2 or 3 buybacks on core heroes. Maybe like you see Mirana risking the buy, not having buyback, but with the other 3 heroes having buyback, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little surprised to see CSW not scout out the Roche pit as they walk by. So he will respawn, unbeknownst to either side. That cheese ready to be consumed. Invasion grouped up in the mid now is the Lone Druid. He'll finish up his Mjolnir. So he's attacking pretty fast. It's still that same problem you mentioned where the Druid's bear is just very burstable right now. If he gets hit by an arrow, a couple multicasts from the Ogre, and he'll go down very quickly. And without a resummon, Ghost is kind of just a wasted hero.
They're gonna. This is a big risk. I think they realize they're in like a really shitty position and
Yeah,
maybe
they
want
need
to
to do something crazy.
Well, they're not attacking it yet, so it seems like they decide now. They think it through and they're like, yeah.
CSW are wise to it though. Music,
Can slide from outside. And
she doesn't hit anyone.
backwards.
But now he thinks it's empty. Tootie goes in, hops right to his death. Oh my god, the cleaves! So much damage coming out from this Ember Spirit, but now Invasion, they're ready to fight. The Stampede comes out. Ketchik manning up hard onto KP. FCFZ trying to close the gap. He'll come in, but now they'll lose both their supports as Musica comes right back into the fight. Now Ogre goes down. They're trying to bring down the Ember Spirit, but the slights all over the place. This guy, it's just too much damage. Godot cleans it up, but Musica...
I'm surprised they don't GG after that.
That was painful, man. Going for the double Daedalus. The Ember's just too big, and in these little corridors, those cleaves just destroying this Radiant.
That wasn't even like that well of a team fought battle by CSW. Like the Batrider just going in, kind of. I mean, he saw them with his flying vision. He knew they were there and still went in and allowed himself to get brought down. But yeah, doesn't matter in the end. So CSW will march down mid lane with cheese and Aegis.
Yep. And now that golden lead over 25,000, getting close to that 30k mark. Musica with the double Daedalus completed, hitting for, just a casual 400 per auto attack. No big deal. Chance to crit for a whole bunch. Arrow flies through, doesn't hit the Dazzle. They all will start to respawn. Radiant do have a glyph, so Invasion may take one last team fight here. Buybacks. Razor does have one. Lone Druid does not. He does have a bear summon, though. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Invasion haven't tapped out yet. They're not really doing much in the way of making a hold. Yeah.
And CSW, you win even if you team wipe them here. CSW buybacks. You're not going to get a Rex off of it, and CSW can just reset. But hey, forget that. Let's back off.
Are you serious? Wow.
There is 5 alive, but
I mean, they can just take a team fight so easily, though. That's the thing. Aegis and Cheese, you've got Musica just completely stacked out of his mind. 2 slights and this Dazzle's dead.
I think the main thing is they just want to buy the next items and reset so that they have everyone fully healed up. Like Goda was half HP, also has no mana, but
yeah,
it's a very small thing. I think they definitely had the ability to take a fight there, but hey, I guess their reasoning is like, why not?
If you're 30,000 golden experience ahead, you should be able to take a fight pretty much anywhere, less like diving the tier 4s. But I see what you mean. This is a pretty big game. No elimination here. This is upper bracket to get things started, but still looking to have a good performance. So understandable. They really want to come to the summit, so can't fault them for that, guys.
Summit's a pretty cool tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. MKB now up on the Wind Ranger, so she's hitting hard. Another 5,200 gold on Musica, and Ogre. Risk is just, he's really living up to his name here. He's just pulling all this gold and
he's not taking risks. He
towards
died once the entire game.
That's true. 2-1
for the longest time. I think his first death was like 5 minutes ago. He had no deaths for like the first 45 minutes of this game.
The Batrider actually bought back after that last fight too, which I did notice, but it does have a buyback timer here, so maybe worth mentioning.
And that's maybe something else CSW waiting for. I don't know.
Thank you.
They buy a BKB on him, so they could go for a push using this, I guess, on the Batrider. If Batrider dies, doesn't have buyback, and you lose a fight, you still have buybacks on everyone else. Like you're good. Everything's gravy.
Selfish.
And Bear down bottom. Nope, no other progression. The Bear does have about 1,500 gold, but look at this. They're just going to rotate and go for the Bear if possible. He will call it back so it doesn't get initiated on, and now they'll just push the bottom lane.
That's Mjolnir on the Bear, but this is the attack speed's probably the best bit about this. So I guess he can push out lanes a bit using the Mjolnir effect as well as the Radiance.
Yeah, it does push lanes pretty decently, but it's just so minor now. relative to how much damage they're doing and how much pressure they're putting
And
on.
even if he gets a BKB on this Spirit Bear, it can still die to a lasso focus fire.
Yeah, man. Speaking of lassos, right on to catching into an arrow. This Razor completely locked down. This will probably be your final team fight as Ghost. He's taking a lot of damage as well. Defensive Disruption buys him a little bit of time. There's your Stampede, but it's just not enough. This Dazzle on the high ground has Grave ready, thinking about it on FCFC perhaps. Will not be able to get it off. Uses a weave, and it will not happen. Now Razor comes in, finishes off the godlike streak of the Ember Spirit. He'll buy back. Remnants right back into the fight, and now they'll lose their Dazzle. Catches himself in a grave, buys himself some time, but it's just not enough here. Gods, all the buybacks under the sun, and it is CSW coming out swinging. Invasion finally tap out. GGs are called 28-11. Our dire side secure a pretty dominant victory in Game 1 of this best-of-3 series.
Dire victory.
All it took was one good team fight, and just once they defended the high ground, Invasion just seemed to be all in with this strategy. Like, look, we're going to take all these outer towers and then find a way to break high ground, but didn't work. And this, I think if this was 6.81, they would definitely win this game because they'd be getting more money for each tower. They'd be able to snowball just a lot better, but because they never really had that big of an item advantage. The tower money being reduced and just in general pushing a little bit slower. Like, sure, they got all the outer towers fast enough, but it wasn't like as fast as you'd normally get it with the glyph refresh as well.
The only real item advantage they had was that super fast blink on Centaur, but like you pointed out, he didn't really do much with it right away. It still took him a couple minutes to really come online and get kills, so all that great time that he had was sort of lost in the transition there. But only a the Game 1 of this best-of-3 series. We'll have Game 2 coming up in a jiff, guys. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us because Game 2 of Invasion versus CSW coming up right now.